What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Welcome to Sias Domain. And on today's video, I want to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse for a change. Now, I've been watching the live stream of the court case for the past 3 weeks or thereabout. I know I don't stay through the whole 8 hours, but I do catch most of the glimpse. I think at least 2 hours of that case. I do catch majority of the arguments from both the prosecutor and the defense. And initially, when this whole thing started, I thought the defense was an absolute crap. Like they were going to get Kyle Rittenhouse jailed for real. But yeah, at the end of the day, he has been acquitted of all 5 charges, and some people seem to think that this is unfair. They do believe that the justice system has kind of like been rigged to favor a white person, but I sincerely beg to differ, because this is the same jury system that actually set OJ free back in the 90s, I think, was it not? So in that light, there are certain things that I wanted to talk about, because many people are of the opinion that, okay, Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 people and he killed them maybe during a BLM riot, and so Kyle Rittenhouse deserves to go to jail because he killed 2 people. But this is not about what you think. There's a reason why the law was created, so that an unbiased, people can come to an unbiased judgment. So I wanted us to go over the story real quickly. I also want to talk about the media's part in this whole thing and what the media has done. And also I want to give you my own fair assessment of this case, in my personal opinion, because I think there are gray areas that people don't look at. So without further ado, let's check out what really went down. Let's head over to the reading screen and head over to the news and see what really went down. And you can give me your own assessment of the case and why you feel that Kyle Rittenhouse was guilty or not guilty in that comment section below. Also, before we do that, please don't forget to smash that like button, because it's massively important. So let's check this story out from Deadline. Deadline's pretty much, I think, maybe unbiased, I don't know, but they really gave a fair assessment of the story, or they gave a full information about the story, so we can jump right in. So jury finds Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all charges in Kenosha. Protesting killings. Let's read a little bit. A jury found Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty on all charges in the killing of 2 men and wounding another during the protest that followed a police shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin in the summer of 2020. The verdict in this case has galvanized the media, and the television trials drew ongoing coverage on cable news network, igniting a renewed debate not over racial injustice, but the right to self-defense and vigilantism. Now, while some people are arguing about the right to self-defense and vigilantism, there are others that has totally made this about race, especially MSNBC's Reid, especially MSNBC and CNN in general, and most of the liberal mainstream media. They made this about race, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with race. I mean, just check out Reid's personal report. I did a story about this earlier on, but not too much into it. But just check out how Reid reported on Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Have their tears. The evening after Kyle Rittenhouse tearfully testified at his murder trial in Wisconsin, like a mini Brett Kavanaugh. Let me just remind people of the names of the victims. Joseph Rosenbaum, who was 36 years old, Anthony Huber, who was 26, Gage Grosskreutz, who's only 27 years old, was injured. These are the victims. These are the people that people ought to remember are the people who were hurt here, not the person who was crying on the stand today. The judge has done everything but, offer to adopt Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, he seems so clearly on his side. And almost immediately, Rittenhouse became a cause célèbre for the MAGA cult. If you want to know why critical race theory exists, the actual law school theory that emphasizes that supposedly colorblind laws in America often still have racially discriminatory outcomes, then look no further than the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. 2 cases, which will once again tell us where we are as a country. Whether armed, primarily white men can continue to take matters into their own hands and serve as judge, jury, and executioner legally. It's stunning, Katie. This feels like those cases in the 1950s where it was in and out, somebody, white male, killed someone, and they were in and out fast and acquitted. That's how it feels.
So as you can see, she keeps on talking about white males or white people being acquitted of murders or whatnot. She has made it about race, right? She hasn't said anything about the intentions of the people that were shot, what they were doing there or anything. She tries to make you have some kind of a compassion towards these people, looking at them from the angle of a victim, whereas they were also aggressors. So I don't know how in any case where maybe there are aggressors and they can be deemed as victims. Or imagine if somebody came to your house and tried to rob you, or tried to do something to you, probably as a woman, and you shot them. Are they victims? This is the reason why the judge said you can't consider them victims, because they're part of the aggressors. Right? That's self-defense. When it comes to the case of self-defense, this is not the only case where a judge would actually deemed people not victims if they are being deemed as aggressors for the sake of the defense, so that you can be unbiased. Is this an unbiased assessment by the media? Absolutely not. But anybody that watches the media and believes everything they shove at you would actually believe that this guy is pretty much guilty of the case. So let's read a little bit more. Now, Rittenhouse, now 18 years old, faced 5 felony charges, including first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree reckless homicide, and attempted first-degree intentional homicide, along with 2 other counts of first-degree reckless endangering safety. Also, during the trial, prosecutors portrayed Rittenhouse as provoking the shootings as he brought semi-automatic rifle to the protest and recklessly waved it that night. Now, most of these things that have been stated were unprovable. They were unprovable by the prosecution. Prosecution was trying to reenact it, but they couldn't actually show any proof that Kyle Rittenhouse was doing anything. Now, we were of the opinion that initially Kyle Rittenhouse was the one chasing after Rosenbaum. That was the opinion that a lot of people thought. A lot of people also thought that Kyle Rittenhouse was some kind of a white supremacist, because they caught photos of him throwing the, OK sign, at a pub with some Proud Boys. But a throwing OK sign at a pub is now a symbol of white supremacy. I think maybe Beyonce, Jay-Z, all these other rappers that have been doing it, they're all guilty of white supremacists. And even AOC is also guilty of white supremacy, because I've seen this being thrown around a lot. So a lot of people have been unbiased because of what we're getting, the information that we are getting from mainstream media about this whole thing, only for us to come and watch the whole thing. And if you watch the whole thing, you would find out that when what the video shows is Rosenbaum actually trying to attack Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, there's an argument, because I'm looking at the arguments from left and right, and I might not go through all this story because it's pretty long. So I'm looking at the attack from, the left and right, their opinions, and I watch people from the left saying that, Rosenbaum couldn't have done anything because he's using his fist, he's coming with his hands, he had no weapons, and Kyle Rittenhouse had an AR-15. But I want to show you guys some statistics here, just so that you can have a picture of the reason why this can even be considered, like Rosenbaum, the first guy who was shot, could be considered a threat. Just look at the statistics here. So when you look at the number of murder victims in the United States in 2020 by weapons used, right? Check this out. I think personal weapons, that's hands, fist, and feet. Hands, feet, and fists. 662 people were killed by hand, fist, and feet in 2020, right? Rifles, which is what Kyle Rittenhouse was carrying, 455 people were killed in 2020. So you can see the disparity. Over 200 people more were killed by hands and fists, as compared to the number of people that were killed by a rifle. So in that context, and this is the same thing that occurs every year, I've checked it every year, hands and fist killings are more than a rifle killing, right? So if you put that into perspective, just consider for yourself, put that into perspective. Does it now give you the reason why Kyle Rittenhouse might be defending himself, even if he was the one holding a rifle and somebody was coming with a hand and fist? We all know that if you train certain things like Krav Maga, you're not allowed to fight on the streets, because if you do fight and somebody ends up dying, there's no way you can win it in court case. Your hands are seen as lethal weapons. So hands and feet are just as dangerous or even more dangerous than a rifle. It's funny that I'm making that argument, but that's what statistics show. So putting that into perspective, and also putting the scenario of what's going on into perspective, everything should be in context when you're talking about the court of law. It's not black and white, but they're trying to make it about race, and they're trying to make it that, a white person is getting away with murder. But none of these protests happened when they released O.J. Simpson in the 90s. Were people protesting that a white person was getting away with murder? No. Were people saying the justice system didn't work back then? No. So why this time around? Because it's a white person, a lot of people have this biased mind towards this case. So moving on, let's keep on reading because I just don't want to miss out on a few things. It says, right, Rittenhouse was 17 when he traveled to Kenosha from his Illinois home, as he said, protecting properties of owners and protest of police shooting of Jacob Blake. Now, there's a story here that was reading here. Judge in Kyle Rittenhouse trial bans MSNBC. And this is the role of, the media in it. Bans MSNBC from the courthouse after incident. Network says freelancer never contacted or photographed jurors, but we don't know what his intentions were. Why was he following the jurors? Why? Because they're trying to kind of like, who knows if he was trying to dox them, because we've seen this done by was it George Floyd's brother-in-law also try to dox these people, try to dox the jurors, try to manipulate this. So this is their role in it, because when the media is involved, the media lies on a consistent basis. And if you don't do your own personal, research on certain matters, you're going to be misled by the media for sure, because they're nothing but propaganda machine, especially the liberal mainstream media. They are an absolute propaganda machine, and people just follow them blindly. And one of the people that follow them blindly that I wanted to show you guys was TYT's Kasparian. And I want you guys to get a full grasp of the story coming from a left-winger that has been barraging as much as possible. Kyle Rittenhouse has discredited Kyle Rittenhouse, has likened Kyle Rittenhouse to a white supremacist, and all whatnot. That's what TYT does. That's what St. Hugo does. That's all they see. They see everything from the lens of race. Right? They see everything through the lens of race. So I want us to look at this story so that we can get a full gist of everything. And then you can come to your own conclusion about this whole thing. Check this out.
I was wrong about that. Okay, so I want.
All right. So she said she was wrong about that. She is this, said a lot of things about Kyle Rittenhouse traveling interstate with a gun. It was a false information. Saying that Kyle Rittenhouse chased after Rosenberg. It was false information. Saying that Kyle Rittenhouse was the agitator. It was all false information. Where did she get this information for? And note this. Kasparian is a lecturer in journalism. She's an expert. She teaches journalism in university. And this is how she approached the case, like every normal person, instead of actually doing investigative journalism. Now, for me, last year when this whole thing happened, right, the next day I saw the video. I made my own assessment according to the video, unbiased, without even knowing what Kyle Rittenhouse was, whether it was a member of Proud Boys or not, or whether he was friends with them. I made my own assessment from there and then. And I also watch other people giving their analysis afterwards. And for the most part, to me, it looked like self-defense. It looked like self-defense, but I don't come to conclusions just like that. I want more expert analysis about it from the left and from the right. But this woman, she didn't even do any research. She didn't do anything. She just went on and told her base, millions of people, Kyle Rittenhouse traveled through interstate lines and whatnot. So let's hear her recanting of everything that she did. So let's check this out.
I want to correct the record. I was, in fact, wrong about that. So look, these details matter because if you're going to make an argument that you acted in self-defense, there needs to be some proof that there was an imminent threat.
So you can see that the exact argument that I've just made, is what she's trying to make. So pay very, very close attention from a woman that doesn't like Kyle Rittenhouse, that has smeared Kyle Rittenhouse for ages. Since last year, since this whole thing began. Since this whole thing began, she smeared Kyle Rittenhouse.
Now, what really mattered to me was how all of this unfolded. What was the thing that sparked it? What started all of it? And initially, I was under the assumption that Rittenhouse was the person who was chasing after Joseph Rosenbaum, that's how it had started. But I was wrong about that, okay? So I want to correct the record. I was, in fact, wrong about that. And to show you the evidence to reinforce that I was wrong about that, I want to go to this video that shows how everything really started.
Here is where we first see Joseph Rosenbaum, the first person Kyle Rittenhouse fatally shoots that night. He joins the fight against the armed civilians, as other protesters try to stop him. Rosenbaum has just been released from the hospital after undergoing mental health treatment.
Now, He was just released from the hospital after going through mental health treatment. But I want you guys to understand something. When the media was carrying this at first, they made Joseph Rosenbaum seem like a Black Lives Matter protester that was shot and gunned down by a white supremacist. That's the information that was passed initially, especially New York Times wrote about this. But as you can hear from this report, and this report is from TYT, right? We're looking at TYT, left wing, right? Making this report now, a year later, so you can see the hand of the media and how the media treated this case. And if some of you are angry with the court case and thinking that, okay, the court has done something wrong, blame the media, because they brought out this lie and they helped facilitate the prosecutor, Binga, lying consistently about everything that went down. So bear that at the back of your mind, that the media had a role to play in this whole thing.
His reasons for being here are unclear, and he doesn't appear to have attended a protest before. But his actions on this night will add to an already volatile.
He hadn't attended a protest before. So this guy wasn't there for BLM. And note, he was seen that very night using the N-word. Put those things in context. So it's clear that the media was lying all along.
Situation. Rittenhouse walks towards a parking lot where cars are being vandalized. He passes Joseph Rosenbaum, who was fighting with the armed men at the gas station earlier. Rosenbaum now starts chasing Rittenhouse.
Rosenbaum now starts chasing Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse. Bear that at the back of your mind. But that wasn't what we were told initially, right? By the media.
Rosenbaum now starts chasing Rittenhouse and throws a plastic bag that holds his belongings from the hospital. Close behind them, a man holds up a handgun and fires it. We don't know why. Then,
so you can see. So imagine, put yourself in the shoes of Kyle Rittenhouse. You are running away from aggression. You are running away from fights. You are running away from something that you feel you are endangered by. You get to a point where you feel you are cornered, right? And then somebody's chasing you right behind you, and then you hear a gunshot. How are you supposed to know if that person chasing you is the one that fired or somebody that was right behind them that fired? Explain that to me and explain that to all those geniuses who said he didn't have the right to just turn and shoot. Explain it, because this whole thing happened in the space of 5 seconds. And when your heart is beating that fast in fear, your reaction is uncontrollable. First thing you think about is saving your own life. Just put that into perspective.
Rosenbaum lunges towards Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse fires 4 times.
So those details matter, right? Who was chasing who matters. The gunshots by some other unidentified person, that matters, especially if you're Rittenhouse and you're running away and then you hear shots and then Rosenbaum lunges toward him.
All right, so there you have it. That was the major case. The case against Joseph Rosenbaum, or the case against Kyle Rittenhouse of him shooting Joseph Rosenbaum, was the major case that the prosecutors had, that he wasn't acting in self-defense. But you can judge from yourself, from that yourself, because she said it herself. These things matter. Now, when it comes to the case of the other guy, what's his name, Anthony Hubert or whatnot, everybody saw this guy lash at Rittenhouse with a, I think with a skateboard or something like that. And people can be killed with a skateboard. This has been proven, right? If people can be killed with bare hands, people can be killed with a skateboard, right? So I don't know where this other argument is coming from, that this guy got off because he's white. He got off because they were unable to prove that he wasn't acting in self-defense. And when it comes to the last guy, I can't remember his name, right? The prosecutor were trying to convince him to testify otherwise, that, what's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse shot at him before he pointed the gun, or he didn't point the gun at Kyle Rittenhouse, but he said himself he pointed the gun at Kyle Rittenhouse before Kyle Rittenhouse shot at him. And that's where we stand. Things aren't black and white. Things aren't like, oh yeah, he killed 2 people, so he just needs to go to jail. That's not how I see it. I don't think that's how the law writes it. Because if that's how it is, nobody would be innocent of self-defense. Put that into perspective. So the media out here are very, very, very much the ones responsible for this whole thing. Matter of fact, with the case of Jacob Blake himself, they started this whole thing. They didn't give the full story. They didn't talk about the part that Jacob Blake had assaulted someone, domestic violence, could have literally led to someone's death, was going for a gun, tried to attack police officers, and then got shot. Put those things into perspective, right? Put them into perspective. Now, like me, I don't always support a police officer. If they're doing something wrong, I will call them out on it. That's me. And I've done that on this channel many times, right? I back policing because the idea of policing is essentially for safety. So I back it. Anything you do and you try to replace them, whether you try to replace them with some health or whatever, some social worker or whatever, they will still be policing. They will still be trying to watch over you for the sake of safety. And as we can see, more people are wanting police. Even black neighborhood, nearly 80% vote for more policing. Nearly 80%. So put all these things into context. Put the media's spin on things into context and everything falls apart. And when it falls apart, the media says Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have been there. Well, I say Joseph Rosenbaum shouldn't have been there. Hubert shouldn't have been there, and neither should the third guy that was shot, whom I can't remember his name right now, shouldn't have been there. None of them should have been there. But that's not a crime. Being there is not the crime. It's not the charges, is it? Being there is not the charges. Being stupid is not the charges. But like I always say, and I'll close with this, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Kyle Rittenhouse might get out of this, but he's going to be scarred for life. A 17-year-old going through what he went through, he's going to be scarred for life, right? And that's where I stand on this. But you let me know what you think about this whole case in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my analysis. And, let me know if you agree or disagree with me in any parts. And, I always get down there with you and have a conversation. Anyway, I'll be catching you guys on the next one. But before I leave, I want you guys to remember to hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ding that bell for notification. And I'll be catching you guys real soon. Take care of yourself. Peace. And Saya's out of here. Bye-bye now.